I'm going to do the last video on the story of the people of God. In this section, I'm going to go over church history. Now, history is not my best subject, but I'm only going to be going over the general overview. I'm not going to get very specific, just to give you a high altitude view of the history of the church, starting from the birth of Jesus. So. Here goes. Jesus was born of the Virgin Mary. His early life had miracles, but he went mostly unnoticed. Um, his public ministry began with a baptism, then fasting, then a wedding. This happened about when he was about 30 years old. At that time, he gathered 12 disciples and then began preaching and performing miracles. He gained many followers and made many enemies by his preaching. He preached love, faith, obedience, and mercy. He proclaimed that the long-awaited kingdom has arrived. He taught that he is the long-awaited Messiah, and also that he is God. He instituted the Eucharist at the Last Supper. According to the Father's plan, his enemies put him on trial, tortured him, and crucified him, and he forgave them while on the cross. On the third day he rose from the dead, made himself seen by many people, and then ascended into heaven after giving them instruction to spread the faith. His apostles received the Holy Spirit, then preached the faith openly. They started preaching to the Jews, but the Lord directed them to preach also to the Gentiles. The church grew even though they faced the possibility of death for becoming Christian, and there were many martyrs. In response to a prophetic sign, all the Christians fled Jerusalem. Shortly after that, Rome came and destroyed Jerusalem. Because the Christians did not stay and try to defend Jerusalem, the Jews banned all Christians from attending Jewish synagogues. And this is basically the point at which the Christians and the Jews were kind of to be considered different religions. Before then, the Christians saw themselves as simply Jews who believed in the Messiah. All right, so the church is headed by a succession of popes going back to the first pope, Saint Peter. And in the early church, as you recall, they were facing a lot of persecution from Rome. But the Roman state was eventually converted to Christianity, which ended those years of Christian persecution from Rome. Later, the church expanded into Europe. And a little bit later, the church engaged in the Crusades in response to Muslim invasions. The church also built many universities that focused mostly on theology. However, they advanced philosophy and sciences as well. Then a new and secular movement started to grow, and Protestantism also came into practice, leading many to fall away from the church. But at the same time, as all these people were falling away from the church, there is a strong missionary zeal in the church, and they created many new followers of the church from other parts of the world. The number of new followers that the church received was comparable to the number that we lost in the Protestant Revolution. Today, the church is still a worldwide powerful influence, and it continues to grow rapidly when looking at it on a global scale. However, in some regions, it is shrinking or stagnant. All right, so that's a high-level overview. So that sums up my series on the story of the people of God. So may God bless you.